All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and we are here to check out this 2020 BMW X3 S30i. So who do we have to thank for this little opportunity? It is none other than Johnson Lexus in Durham, North Carolina, and I'm going to leave all of Danny's information down in the description box below, because if you're interested in one of these vehicles, you can actually get $200 off. I don't get anything out of it, but it's just a discount for you if you are interested in any of these vehicles. So back to this review. This BMW X3, right? Well, I'm checking this out because this seems to be a practical BMW that most people might be interested in buying. It's got about 18,000 miles on it now. This dealership has it listed for about 35,000. The starting price originally was about $40,000 to $43,000 for this rear-wheel drive S30i. So let's get this bad boy out on the road and see what's what. But I guess with all things, let's talk about the looks, because that's where I like to start off. And this vehicle, it's not the most inspiring vehicle on the planet to look at. In fact, I don't really care for the looks at all, but let me know your thoughts about the way that this vehicle looks down in the comment section below. But it's a pretty clean design, I suppose. I mean, there's really nothing technically wrong with it, but it's just not my first preference in a way that a vehicle looks. But it's clean. Most importantly though, it is practical, and we're about to talk about that in the interior segment. But let's just talk about the drive first, because this is a BMW after all, and that's the most important thing about it. Now, this is rear-wheel drive, and it's a little SUV type of thing, and that's pretty special. You don't really see that too often, do you? I mean, a rear-wheel drive SUV type of thing, so that's cool. We're going to check out the dynamics of that in a bit, but yeah, this thing is powered by a little 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine. Nothing too crazy going on. This isn't the M or like the M40 or M3 or MX3 or anything like that. This thing produces 248 horsepower, about 258 pounds-feet of torque. Now, I have actually experienced this motor multiple times before, and I actually love this engine. Nothing inherently wrong with it. I mean, BMW, they make a pretty damn good transmission engine combination, whether it's an inline-six, 4-cylinder, V8, whatever. We'll say the steering is actually surprisingly light. I'm about to change that, put in the sport mode in a little bit after the vehicle's kind of warmed up here. But yeah, it utilizes the exact same ZF 8-speed transmission. This thing weighs about 4,000 pounds, about 3,900 pounds, since this is not the all-wheel drive, it's the rear-wheel drive model. Still uses a strut-based suspension up front and a multi-link in the rear. However, they do a pretty good job with suspension tuning, so I'm not really tripping over the fact that it does have double wishbones. I'm sure it's got some form of fake engine noise being put into this. It does effortlessly get up to speed. That's not remotely an issue. I was like half throttle right there, and it's already well over doing the speed limit. So that's what I'm saying. This engine gives you great boost down low, and it's just a nice smooth power delivery. It's refined, so I appreciate that. One thing I will say before we even get into the interior segment, I hate where they put the release control for the trunk. That's terrible, dude. You can easily just pop that open while you're driving. Maybe there's a safety mechanism to prevent that, but that's kind of sketch. Anyway, so after putting it to the sport mode, I'm going to see if this steering obviously is probably going to tighten up a little bit here. But I'm very curious to see how it's going to ride over some of these rougher bumps here. Pretty eager off the line. I mean, obviously wheel spin is not going to be an issue. This thing is running on 18-inch wheels, 225 wide in all four corners. It is some form of like Pirelli tires. It's not super wide tires, so I'm not expecting the road noise to be ridiculous. It does not have double pane glass or anything like that. But as a whole, dude, even in the sport mode, it is reacting extremely well. It is very composed, very compliant. I am really appreciating the fact that this is one of those BMWs that does not feel completely unnatural. Even with the sport mode on, like the steering is actually like perfect. It's got smooth takeoff, and then it gives you all the thrust. Yeah, it definitely pulls enough for most people. It's not like blood-rushing performance, obviously. I mean, it's just a 4-cylinder turbo, but like, it's good. It's adequate. I'll be checking out more of that handling here, but like, this thing, the body seems to be very well composed. Not a ridiculous amount of lean and roll or anything like that, despite it being nearly 4,000 pounds. It takes a moment for it to, get up to speed, which I kind of like that. I kind of prefer that refinement in something like this. This engine is surprisingly quiet too, so that's great. Just chuck that in there. Definitely some roll in the body, but not anything insane. Yeah, this is a really quiet ride, man. This is not too much wind noise, not too much road noise. This is extremely well calibrated. So if you love BMWs, you know, it has like a pretty good sure-footed feeling to the entire chassis. Yeah, it's a bit of roll, but you can't really escape that in an SUV of really any class. But there's this in general sense of confidence. And here, let me put it back into the comfort mode now. And the engine kind of calms down there, soaking up all the bumps really well. But it's just how quiet it is and how refined it is. I mean, it doesn't have double pane glass or anything like that, but this is, even at speeds, there's not a whole lot of wind noise coming through. Stability is high at pretty much any speed, that's for sure. See here, brakes. Brakes are nice and progressive. So you really got to step on it there. Yeah, really well done. This feels like you're driving a car, honestly. It does not feel like you're whipping around an SUV. Not at all. You have the sensation. I mean, it's sitting slightly higher than the car because, I mean, it is, but you have that sensation that you are sitting slightly higher. But the vehicle doesn't have a massive footprint. It's only about 186 inches long total, and it's doing a lot with that amount of length, actually. I mean, it's very practical on the inside, which I'll talk about, but because it's not huge, I mean, there's not like a whole lot that you need to maneuver around. You know, this is very easy to place out on the road. You know, anybody can drive this thing and have confidence in it. It's not like a breathtaking experience. It's just a nice driving car. That's really all it is. And everything is weighted and programmed correctly, which I really like. Paddles react extremely well. I mean, typical BMW fashion, so that's great. Put in the manual mode this time. Wait for this truck to get out of my way. And I'll punch it here. It's just auto upshift for me. It's totally just auto upshifting for me. So, well, that's a complete waste of time. All right, well, that sucks. Ooh, black LC 500. That's nice. Anyway, this car never feels like it's struggling. This car never feels like it's not doing anything to piss me off. Basically, there's nothing about it that I have to complain about as far as a driving experience is concerned. So that's great. It's not like the most unbelievable experience, but it's not a bad one either. It's a very positive experience that I think just about any normal human would get into this and actually pretty much be impressed with it. I mean, compared to something like it's got the right dynamics, first of all. It's rear-wheel drive, so obviously a lot of the dynamics are going to be perfected with that. And here's another thing with BMWs. They are all 50-50 weight distribution, so that's also helping these things perform a lot better than most other SUVs out on the road. So there's a lot of great SUVs out there, Mazdas and all that stuff, but this takes driving capabilities to another level. This is more capable, and it's up to you whether you're going to use that capabilities or not. But even if you're not going to use them, you feel the capability, and that's why it's so driver confidence inspiring. So enough of that. Let's talk about this interior now. And this is interior also in film particularly, it doesn't look that inspiring, because it's really not, but once you're in here, this is a great sort of interior space because everything is easy to use, and that's what I like about it. Climate control, totally separate from the screen. You have heated seats. This might be like an S trim model, like rear wheel drive, not a whole bunch of options. This is fitted greatly. I mean, this has 18,000 miles on it. It's a nice solid vehicle too. I forgot to mention that. Hardly any creaks and rattles. So BMWs, they are pretty well built. I'll give them that. This iDrive system is phenomenal. I do love it. It is actually pretty damn easy to use, so that's great. One touch up and down windows for all four windows, like I mentioned. And it's actually like a nice, I like the switch gear in here. They have actually kind of improved that. It's like nice little silver buttons and all that. It gives it a nice little premium look. I wish more manufacturers would take this approach by giving you more silver buttons instead of matte or like shiny black plastic buttons. This is much nicer. Yeah, driving it even like a normal person is very satisfying. But anyway, steering wheel, I love the steering wheel. I like the size of it. I like how it feels. Like I mentioned, even the paddles have like this nice silver finish to it, which is great. Yeah, buttons on steering wheel, of course, very easy to use. And you do have like this digital gauge cluster going on. That's something, you're gonna have to get used to. It does look pretty good, I'll give them that. It has a nice quality look to it, similar to the Porsche Audi stuff. They've definitely improved their screen quality. That's great. And speaking of screens, actually, there's no Android Auto, so if you're an Android user, you don't get that, but you do have Apple CarPlay with this. And you actually have USB-C charging ports as well, and regular USB 2. You got nice two big cup holders, storage for to put a phone. I actually like this gear lever knob. It's actually one of the easier ones to get used to. And also, this screen is a touch screen. It reacts extremely quickly. And there's a lot of menus to go through. I mean, it's not like, you know, you do have to get used to it, but like as a whole though, I think they have digested all that information pretty well for the most part. My favorite iDrive was the one before it, but this one does look very clean, very crispy, so I appreciate that. You have like this 360 kind of view thing going on, intelligent safety thing, all that. So kind of turn all that on if you wanted to. Electronic parking brake, got your traction control off. It's got like these little X3 kind of logos all around. You have this X logo on the door thing here, and you know, if you do kind of press up against certain things, it will creak a little bit, but for the most part, this is actually a very solid cabin space. I'm not really tripping over that. Automatic headlights, I love seeing that. The turn signal is actually a normal turn signal. I like that. You got the unlock and lock buttons for the doors. They actually put it on the door, not in the middle or whatever, so you have to reach in. So they actually fixed that. Love it. That's makes life so much better. And one thing I hate, you know, I do love these switch gears on the side here for the window switches and all that, but they put the trunk release right here as well, so you can easily get that confused when you're driving and like pop open the trunk. Hopefully there's a safety feature to prevent that from happening, like the car actually detects that you're driving, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But you do have like this piano gloss black plastic in the middle here. What are you going to do? It's like a Mazda basically. They actually had to, you know, shove that in there. This wood looks pretty nice. I don't mind that. There's plenty of storage space in the middle here and a USB-C charging port in there as well. The center glove box is actually a good size as well, as long as there's no books in there. You actually have a panoramic sunroof in here. So this is like an S model with some options on it, I can tell. So I do like that. And seats are pretty good. You know, in typical BMW fashion, these are probably going to age extremely well. These are nice sturdy seats. It's probably like those Sensitech seats, but either way, that's what I like. I like the fake leather. They always age so much nicer, and it's a good driving position. You know, BMW driver's car, they always nail that stuff, so I appreciate that. I have plenty of space to sit behind myself. That's not even remotely an issue. I'm 5'11", getting in and out of this thing. It's perfect. Anybody getting in and out of this thing, elderly, young, whatever, short, tall. So that's pretty good. You have plenty of head space and all that, and leg room isn't, you know, it's not gargantuan, but you know, larger people can't fit back there. And the trunk is massive, dude. There is so much space back there, and if you fold down the seats, even more so. So that's fantastic. Just a very nice practical vehicle. It's doing a lot with its size, and that's what I appreciate. It's got a lot of little niceties here going on. You know, audio system sounds great. I don't think it's like a branded speaker system or anything, but it's a nice place to spend time, nice vehicle to drive. It's definitely one that, you know, if you're a BMW freak, this is a nice old choice, honestly. Hopefully you found value with this video. If you have any questions, please leave your comments down below. And if you're an owner, please let us know how it's held up. But thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.